Thanks for
Like
that.
this organisation.
He doesn't. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll do 20 minutes for each of the presentations. We'll do 10 minutes afterwards, after each presentation for questions, if that's all right. The first presentation is going to be from Guilherme, followed by Tu, and then Ranjana. Is that okay?
Okay, Steve, do you have a question? How do I pass the slides here? The button?
Yeah, it must be.
Okay.
Thank you.
No? Thank you. May I start? Presentation? Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We are at war. As fellow tax researchers, I'm sure you know all about the dispute between the US and the European Union on GAFA tax. Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple. Also, Macron in France has recently approved a digital tax on the American companies. US is also imposing tariffs on China's supplies, trying to equalize the commerce balance between the two countries. And how about Brexit? Many of my colleagues in Brazil are asking themselves, will UK become a tax haven? Can UK become a tax haven? I say again, we are at war. And this war is not fought with guns, but taxes. In many ways, this is a tax war between countries disputing for better foreign investments. Or, as we know it, international tax competition. Nowadays, we are facing a major international tax competition. And maybe you're asking yourselves, but does that have to do with Brazil and OECD? Well, actually, quite a lot. My name is Guilherme Navarro. I'm a tax lawyer and a tax researcher. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for having me, for inviting me. This is a major topic on my country now, discussing the impact of Brazil's entry in the OECD. I'm honored to be here, not only in this institution, UCLan, but also in Britain. I believe it's a country full of history. I saw a red rose on the train station. Does that have to do with the War of the Two Roses? And also a country of adventure. And today, I want to call you on a quest with me. We will analyze a beast, a creature, with 7 heads, each and every one of them a different tax and consumption. We will slay this beast called Brazil's indirect tax system. And we will find a treasure, a diamond in the rough. And we will analyze this diamond via a new light, the OECD light. I hope you are as excited as I am for this presentation. Very well, introduction. Let's analyze, let's contextualize our study. I say again, what does the international tax competition have to do with Brazil and the OECD? As recently stated by Brazil's President Jair Bolsonaro, Brazil is still an economy relatively close to international trade, and changing this condition is one of the commitments of this administration. With this intent, we will seek Brazil's integration with the world through the incorporation of the best international practices, such as those adopted and promoted by OECD. I want to pinpoint a very relevant keyword: best international practice. Brazil wants to be a major player in the international commerce. We want to be a major economy. And how are we planning to do that? Via the adoption of the best international practice. And when we think about that, there's only one place we can think about: the OECD. The OECD is nowadays one of the major stakeholders in creating international consensus, in creating international standards in terms of economy, education, health, labor, public politics, agriculture, environment, commerce, and many others. But today, as tax researchers, we will look into taxation. And in this field, OECD has the International VAT GST Guidelines. This is the instrument that we will analyze in this presentation and in my paper. Very well. So we have the first premise. Brazil wants to be an international major player, and by doing so, to achieve this goal, we want to adopt the international standards, believed to be the ones created by the OECD. 2. OECD has a guideline on VAT. So therefore, the only conclusion we can come up with is Brazil must try to align its legal framework to the international guideline. This is the structure of my presentation and my paper. In the second point, in the second chapter, I will analyze the relationship between Brazil and OECD. And the third one, I will analyze the international guidelines, but more importantly, I will analyze the reasons to adopt that international guideline. And fourth, and most important part of my presentation and paper, we will analyze if Brazil has the requirements to align itself with that international guideline. Very well. Second point, Brazil and OECD. Let's study their relationship. The first question that arises is, does Brazil want to be a part of the OECD? I believe that's pretty clear, since Brazil has recently formalized its plea to become a full member. How about the OECD? OECD wants Brazil as a full member? I believe that's plenty of reasons to believe that. First, Brazil is a participant in several relevant committees. Also, Brazil is interested in adopting the instruments of the organization. Brazil is a major economy. Brazil can be the first country to be part of the OECD, the G20, and the BRICS. Let's not forget that. And last of all, Brazil is a key partner of that organization. So, my answer can only be yes. OECD wants Brazil as a full member. Is it good though for Brazil? I don't want to get into details, but I believe there are some of those who believe that it is not. Why? Well, it can be very deteriorating of our position before other developing countries. How can we plan to be leaders of the developing countries if you are a part of the rich countries club? How can we say we are part of the people if you are eating lobsters and playing golf? It doesn't make sense. Second, OECD can be a very alien environment for Brazil. Let's take a look at treaty shopping. OECD is keenly trying to fight against this phenomenon. But it's believed that treaty shopping can be very interesting for developing countries as a way to attract foreign investments. So Brazil being a part of the OECD and therefore responsible to fight this phenomenon can be a shot in the leg. But there are others who believe it's a good thing for Brazil, because it will force the country to adopt the international standards. And doing so, we will attract foreign investments, not via an abusive structure as the treaty shopping, but as an economy which is aligning itself with what is the best in the world. foreign investments are very heartwarming to environments that are modern and prepared to receive those investments. But I believe the best argument for Brazil's being a part in the OECD is the fact that we will be a part in the best forum that is discussing the tax consensus. We will not be a reactive jurisdiction reacting what's happening in the world, but we will actively act to foment and to create the international consensus. So I stand with those who believe it is for the best for Brazil to be a part of the OECD. Chapter number 3. As being stated that Brazil should be a part of the OECD, let's analyze the reasons for adopting international VAT. In addition to the points outlined previously, I believe in the BEPS project, Action 1, trying to fight the mismatches that comes from international commerce, it is stated that the countries should adopt international VAT guidelines. The rules that are created there, that are stated there, are to fight against the mismatches in the digital commerce. Also, Brazil is facing a huge tax competition among Brazilian states due basically to the chaotic complexity that we live. Let's take a look at the map. Brazil is a federation. And as a federation, it has 13 different federal taxes. Also, it has 26 plus 1 states, each and every one of them with 3 different taxes. So with a little small calculation, I'm not good at math, I'm a lawyer, we have something about 83 different taxes just on these 2 levels. And we have more than 5,000 municipalities, each and every one of them with 3 different municipal taxes. So how many taxes are there in Brazil? It's too many. And since we are a civil law country, every tax must be in a written law. We have more than several laws in taxation. It's absurd. Now, take this chaotic situation. Try to imagine a country that's so divided, and yet every state is trying to compete with one another to attract investment from one another. It is unsustainable. That's what is happening in Brazil right now. Adopting the international guidelines, not only for the international commerce, will help to equalize this field in Brazil. Compatibility between Brazil's tax systems and the international VAT guideline. Very well. The first question that we must ask ourselves is, does Brazil have a VAT? What are the core elements of a VAT? It's stripped from all auxiliary elements. What are the core elements? It's a broad-based tax, incident on households' consumption, and collected but not supported by companies through a stage process. That are the requirements stated in the international guidelines. Taking this into consideration, analyzing all 7 Brazilian different taxes on consumption, we have 7 different taxes on consumption, only 2 made the requirements, the IPI and the ICMS, because only the 2 of them have all the elements necessary to be a VAT. So Brazil has a VAT. That's huge. In Brazil, right now, our major doctrine states that Brazil do not have a VAT, but we do have it. It's fragmented and full of misconceptions, but a VAT nonetheless. It is our diamond in the rough. Yes, it is in a brute form. Yes, it's fragmented, but when combined, when we analyze the two taxes, we can see that it has a rare quality. It is a VAT. It needs to be refined, yes, but it is a VAT. How are we going to make this refinement? It's not enough to have this brute diamond. We have to refine it. And how are we going to do it? Via the OECD international guidelines. Bearing this in mind, we have to analyze the compatibility between our VAT and that international guideline. Very well. I have put simply in this table, I don't want to bother you with all the minor details, but basically, in the guideline 2.1, we are only partially compatible because Brazil has a very complicated situation of tax reimbursement. The states say that is a matter for the union, and the union say it's a matter for the states. So the taxpayer gets nothing. In the guideline 2.3, Brazil is facing a major tax competition. And through that, we cannot say that our tax system is neutral. It doesn't have the requirement for being a neutral tax system. Also, in the principle of destination, we have some incompatibilities. My time is running short, so I'm going to the conclusion. Brazil's indirect tax system is only partially compatible with the OECD guidelines. What are the conclusions then? Right now, Brazil is facing a major tax reform. We should seize this opportunity to perform such adjustments. Now is the time. Now that our legislators and the politics and the public, now that everyone is aligned in the direction that we should move forward in a tax reform, now is the time to perform such modifications, to align ourselves with the international tax system. And finally, become an economy that is a major stakeholder in the international commerce. Thank you very much.
Right, okay. Well, you had another couple of minutes left anyway, but that's great that we're looking like we're going to be on time. Who wants to shoot away with the first of a series of questions? Actually, what we'll do is we'll gather a couple of questions so you get a chance to think. Yes, John.
Hi there, well, one, you mentioned that Brazil is a developing economy reluctant to turn its back on treaty shopping. And is there any chance that Brazil might realize that using treaty shopping to reduce outward taxes on outward flowing dividends and royalties, is there any chance you might just realize, well, we should just do that anyway by domestic legislation rather than by going through the treaty shopping route? And the other question I had was, does the Brazilian constitution allow for the federal government to sort out your problems? And if not, is there any chance of an amendment? The United States faced that problem in the 19th century and fixed it for income tax law in 1913, I think, wasn't it? Can Brazil do that, or is your constitution too difficult to amend, or does it? What does it already permit?
Okay, so that's two questions from John Preble. By the way, so could I get you all to say your names and your universities that you're affiliated to as well when you're asking some questions?
Adrian Sawyer, University of Canterbury. My question is, what steps does Brazil still need to take before it would be eligible to become a member of the OECD, other than maybe VAT guidelines.
Okay, try one more question and then we'll allow Jeremy to answer. Okay, right. Fire away then.
Thank you all for your questions. They are very interesting ones. I will definitely try to make my paper better on those points. Thank you. First one, treaty shopping. Brazil is a developing country and we are using some parts of treaty shopping to attract foreign investment. But I don't see how an administrative court can rule out the treaty shopping, because I believe it is a question that is put in our constitution. And going through your second question, our constitution is based on civil law, very rich, very detailed on every minor aspect of it. So basically almost all of our taxes are actually in the constitutional level, and to change that requires very strong willing to perform the adjustments. That's why I said that now that Brazil is willing to perform a tax reform, a constitutional tax reform, this is the moment to make those adjustments. It won't be easy, but this is the perfect time to do so. And I believe our legislators are very pressured upon that to make such performance. Otherwise, they wouldn't touch this beehive. I believe that's the expression. But since they are being forced to do that, this is the time to do it. And if we don't, we will lose this opportunity. I believe if you remain some question, I will be glad to address them. And Brazil's entry in the OECD is still very recent. There are plenty of things to do first before doing that. We still have to be recognized by the secretary, if I believe. He still has to recognize our plea, but the General Secretary, Angel Gurria, if I'm not mistaken, he has recently said that Brazil's proposal is very interesting for the organization and that it actually should be faster than it ought and than it's expected to be. We are calculating something between 2 or 3 years for complete adhesion. I believe I also have addressed the question, but if you still have some, I'll be glad to answer.
Yeah, we can take another question.
I just wanted to ask, or
Name
get your...
institution.
Oh, from McCready QT, Brisbane, Australia. I just wanted to ask why Brazil is so keen on joining the OECD when countries like India are not. Because of the structure of the OECD, the additional requirements that is required that isn't compatible right now with their society or culture.
I see. That's a very interesting question. Thank you for it. I believe Brazil is looking to OECD as a way to achieve the best international practices, in a way to move forward in adopting those international standards. Brazil is not obliged to do it. We can just go to the guidelines and simply adopt them. But I believe since the OECD has peer review, it has other methods for enforcing adhesion to best practices, it is a way to get a stamp on for Brazil's economy as a modern economy. For a foreign investor who is maybe situated in Germany, looking, does Brazil is a part of OECD, then it probably have a very precise tax system. It almost gets a stamp of quality. I believe that's the thought behind it. That's what I have been heard from other tax researchers in Brazil and tax legislations, is to get that stamp of quality. I don't know how to put it better than that. Is to get the sense that we are a modern economy, and by doing so, we should enter this modern organization. I believe that's it.
Just have to be careful not to push too hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we could probably squeeze in one more question if anybody else any. Right, okay, excellent, and we're on time. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Okay, next up is Tushan.
Yes, and they did change that. So everyone's happy. Amazon now collects GST if anyone's in Australia. So, yeah, no, everything's pretty awesome.
Hi everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Have a look at what's going on in